Alright, before we get into this episode, I just want to quickly say I was editing the episode and I was getting some extra footage of the UK configurator for the Tesla Model 3 right-hand drive. Exciting stuff. But then it dawned on me very, very quickly, like in like 0.1 of a second, that I didn't need to actually have a reservation to go get and order a Tesla Model 3 if I actually lived in the UK. Now, for those who may be aware, there have been people in this world, and I know one of them, who's been waiting more than 3 years and put down his money more than 3 years ago, which Tesla's had. And well, this kind of just reeks of really, really bad management. Like, Tesla, seriously, what were you thinking? So you basically, you've held that money for all that time, given these people, you know, a bit of a, oh, here, if you put your name on the list and you're at the top of the list, you'll get your car first. And well, maybe they will do that, and so they will honor that. And so the people who don't have reservations, sure, you can go order now and you might get your delivery in June. But I'm not hearing that message, and a lot of other people on the forums are actually saying the same thing. So really, really fascinated if in a few weeks, if Australia actually gets to start configuring the Tesla Model 3s, will this be the same treatment for them? And if so, it's just seriously like leaves a bad taste in the mouth, and it's a real kick in the balls, basically. All right, sorry I had to start on a negative note. Let's run with the episode. On today's show, Hyundai builds an app that will enable you to tune your car. Colorado is about to start finding ICE cars. There's a lot of Tesla news, and I could like to do a whole episode on that, and well, a whole lot more. G'day, my name's Chris, and this is your show on everything happening in like Australia and well, sometimes around the world, about our progress towards a cleaner, greener future, particularly around renewable technologies like EV solutions. So, for returning subscribers, thanks for your support, wherever that might be, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. Consider subscribing. So first up, Hyundai has developed an app that will allow drivers to tune their EV's performance. Now, announced by Hyundai last Monday, the app will actually allow you to adjust like 7 different aspects of the car, like different settings like maximum motor torque, regenerative braking, how much energy is used to like power the climate, like the climate control, the HVAC, and suggest maybe like settings and whether to help to conserve the battery and well, other sort of things like that may well spice up the sportiness of your car for, well, a little bit more fun. Hyundai said it might also offer like different recommendation settings for, say, mountainous versus like urban roads. And whilst details are still light on, I think that this is kind of encouraging because, let's face it, there's a weekend warrior that we all know who loves to tinker with their car, and this might actually give them something that they can actually tinker with from the comfort of the couch or the desk at work. Who knows? But I think it's encouraging. Next, Google Maps now can tell you if an EV charging station is in use. For America and UK only at the moment. So available on like supported platforms like desktop browsers, Android, iOS, and of course Android Auto. This is now like an update that actually started like in last October, where if you put into like right now into Google Maps, EV charging, it will actually show you all the different maps around. Now, it's a bit limited, so you've got EV to go, Semicast, Charge Point, and things like that. And they will be adding more as they go along. But for those who have Teslas, well, sorry, you'll need to stick with like your built-in apps that are in your own car. And well, you can also use Tesla's website version as well. So I think this is kind of good, because nothing worse than actually driving somewhere and you're getting low on juice and you're thinking to yourself, man, I'm getting a little bit anxious here. I really hope that this charger is working and well available. And then to get there to discover it's not working, or it's been taken up by every single car, or worse yet, it's been iced. Which brings me to my next issue. What's one of the issues that EV drivers face? Is it range anxiety, price, or those inconsiderate buffoons who block EV charging spots? Well, in Colorado, they're going to introduce some new law that will make it illegal to actually park in spots that are designed for charging. A little bit of detail. They define a violator as someone who parks in a space if the vehicle is not an electric vehicle. And this one's kind of interesting. If you're using the dedicated charging station for parking an electric vehicle, that is also not charging. This is, I think, a good idea because let's face it, you've probably seen a lot of pictures out there on the interwebs of trucks and cars, and geez, it happens to me just down by my local shopping center. And there are people who in their internal combustion engines, they've parked in a parking spot that is clearly signed actually for EV charging. And this is kind of ridiculous that if I was to go to a petrol station and just park my car and leave it there for, I don't know, hour and a half, it's not very good sort of, thing to be doing to each other, is it? So this, I think, is actually a very good idea because, well, it's going to highlight to people that, you know what, this has actually got a purpose. And if you were to park here, it's going to cost you more than what you're going to spend on your shopping. Now, Volkswagen is set to build an EV factory in China in a joint venture between Volkswagen and the state-run car maker JAC Motors. They're planning on building a 506 billion yuan, that's $1 billion Australian to you and me, in Hefei, China. Now, I probably mispronounced that, so apologies in advance. And look, this actually stems back to an announcement they did in 2017. And now we're finding it a bit more detail that, well, this is going to be producing 100,000 vehicles per year in this factory located some 470 kilometers or so from Shanghai. And Volkswagen's going to start producing the cars from 2020 on that MEB skate platform base. So I'm curious to see how this actually looks, and well, I'm excited nonetheless. Now, who can remember the car brand Saab? I used to own one of them, a second-hand piece of garbage that was always breaking down on me. And well, Sono Motors have announced it was a Kickstarter campaign from 2016, and they're finally going to bring it to market, maybe, just maybe, a EV car capable of driving 25 miles per day that's been powered, or recharged rather, using the sun and solar panels on the car. Now, details are still a little bit sketchy, but from what I can gather, after the Kickstarter campaign, or the Indiegogo rather, they were promising to bring this car to market for about 18,000 euros. And well, now it's gone up to, 25,000 euros. So, that's about this amount of money in Australian. And well, there's supposedly 9,800 people who have already ordered this car. So, wow, good on you. Take a look at these pictures. Looking very utilitarian, shall we say. It's kind of a okay looking car. A little bit of a people mover / a cargo carrier. It's kind of hard to really tell what this thing is. But nonetheless, what they've actually done is they've gone and put some solar arrays onto the roof and the bonnet. And this is significant in that, well, for people who may park their cars outside and the car is essentially doing nothing, and let's pretend it's not plugged into no infrastructure whatsoever, it can be charging. And this has long been a dream of many, and there's actually already car manufacturers who are doing this sort of thing anyway, particularly around the HVAC system. So when the interior of the car gets too hot, it would say crank open some windows or turn on the fans and so forth. And well, this car does that and more, because the makers claim that they will actually be able to gain about 25 miles of range per day just by leaving it in the sun. That's pretty amazing, and I'm kind of curious how they do it, because for those who may not know, solar panels actually rely upon a certain angle of the sun hitting the panel. You just can't have it perpendicular or at a 45-degree angle. Oh no, it's a lot more science than that. And well, if this actually really works, I'll be suitably impressed, because, well, let's face it, look, there's even solar panels on the doors. Madness. Anyway, let's keep an eye on this one. Next up, thankfully, Elon Musk's whole saga with the SEC in America looks like it's come to an end. The judge has ruled basically that Elon will now have to get approval rather for his tweets, anything material to financials and volume and production numbers with Tesla. I'll put that on screen now. Now, my take on this is basically, I think this is very reasonable, and essentially Elon is still able to control the message because, well, he works for the company, and well, he's basically Tesla, let's face it, and he's the voice and he's the face of this company. And well, for him to have his numbers checked and validated by, let's say, someone who he chooses within Tesla, again, he's still controlling that message. And I really do feel, and it's been echoed in people a bit more kind and friendly towards Tesla, that this is actually a victory for Tesla and Elon because, again, they're controlling the message. Next to Model 3s coming to Australia, what do you think the next big deal is going to be? Well, I'll give you a hint. And I think it's actually like a Model S or X refresh. And well, Tesla gave us that last week, but it wasn't exactly what I think some people were hoping for. So let's dive into it. So if you drive a current Model S or X, you probably would get, if you had the 100 kilowatt hour battery, close to, or even actually a bit more than 500 kilometers of range on one single charge. And well, what they've done now is they've swapped one of the motors from the Tesla Model 3, which is a permanent induction magnet motor, into the Model S. And this, along with a few other improvements in cabling and like the transformers and electronics that I seriously do not understand, will enable the car to go almost 600 kilometers on one charge. And I watched this, and I'll put a link down below, a really impressive little story done by an American motor magazine, where they drove from the Fremont factory in San Francisco all the way to the Los Angeles design studio on one charge, which is like a very, very long way, a bladder, really uncomfortable way. I don't know how they did it. I think 6.5 hours of driving. And when they arrived there, they still had 11% charge. And this was driving along at freeway speeds, not doing anything special in particular with like the climate control. I think they ran it at 72 degrees Fahrenheit. That's Fahrenheit, not Celsius. And it's a real testament that the whole thing about, EVs, can it drive me to X, and well, yes, it can. So well done, Tesla. And sticking with the whole Tesla theme, and well, I did warn you it's going to be a bit heavy on the Tesla today, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Anyway, the people in the UK are now able to start configuring the Model 3s. Congrats, guys. I'm very jealous, and well, I'm interested to see what's happening over there. So just like right now, on the menu, as what you can see from the web page, you can only get the standard base plus, the all-wheel drive long range, and well, the performance model. Okay, so let's talk about price and how that compares to Australia's estimated price. And well, maybe next week we'll actually get a chance to have a look at what's going to cost in Australia. Hey, maybe? All right. So the standard range plus is going to be $72,000, and that's converted from this amount of UK pounds. And that's quite a bit more than I anticipate for the same thing in Australia, which is going to be about $65,000. Obviously, they have taxes just like we have taxes, but they've also got EV incentives over there. And look at this screenshot here. There's already like a EV discount onto that price. So kind of a bit worried to see what the pricing is going to be in Australia, because I really am hoping that it's going to be at that 65K mark. We'll see. The long range $82,000, well, that's a bit cheaper than I think what we're going to be getting it for. And now, don't forget, folks, Tesla is now throwing into these cars autopilot, and the full self-driving option is quite a lot more money on top of that. So, wow. And then finally, the performance model, $102,000. So that is actually quite a lot cheaper than what we're going to get it for in Australia. And the reason for that is, well, it's because of our tax on a tax on a tax. Luxury car tax, GST, stamp duty. We pay a lot in excise, basically. So be curious to see if they do actually enable Australians to start configuring the Model 3s next week. And that brings me to my last story. So finishing off today's show, I wanted to just very briefly talk about Q1 earnings for Tesla. Now, I'm not a financial analyst and I'm not about to do a deep dive into that, especially on this episode. But there's been a lot of really good videos out there, such as like Zach and Jesse's take on it. They did a deep dive on that just yesterday. And I really encourage you to go take a look at that video if you haven't already. It's about 45 minutes long, but I think they've got some really good graphs, great analysis, and what that means. But one of the takeaway points that I had from this was that Elon and the CFO basically said that, you know, they've had some really hard learnings around the logistics of actually delivering Tesla Model 3s to international customers. So for those who aren't aware, basically China and Europe came online the last quarter, and what happened was that near the end of March, they delivered more than half of all the cars that they would normally deliver across a whole quarter. So in 2 weeks, they delivered as many cars as they would normally across 2.5 months. So logistically, Elon said it was just a complete another mess, and that they won't ever do that again. So I was really surprised when Elon tweeted this, that the right-hand drive configuration is going to be opened up for the UK very soon, followed very quickly thereafter with Australia and a few other territories. So very exciting news. But wait, Elon, wait. You just said that, you know, the timing of this whole thing could be a lot better. So I'm kind of fascinated that we're already now in May. So you've only got 1 month left, you've got 2 months left to take orders, build the cars, put them on a ship. That ship's then got to go from, you know, the west coast of America through the Panama Canal all the way over to the UK. And that whole journey takes anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks. So with a 1 to 2 week build, what's going to happen is the Tesla Model 3s are going to be landing over in the UK. They say in June, but honestly, it's going to be late June. And once again, there's going to be pandemonium, and they're going to end up in the same situation like they did in Q1. And that is, they had more than 10,000 cars in transit towards customers, which gave them a massive financial liability of like of $900 or $700 million. I'll put the correct figure on the screen now. So again, this doesn't seem like a good learning to me. And if I was in charge, I'm not, but if I was in charge, I would actually release the configurator in the last week of June, so that then you have a bit more cash income. And then at the start of July in Q3, that's for the American system because they don't go from July to June. In Q3, you then start manufacturing. A week or two after that, you start shipping, and then you've got a whole 6 to 7 weeks to do your deliveries and not have this craziness that basically Elon said was, you know, like hell. So fascinating, right? All right, so I hope you've enjoyed this show. And look, one last thing before I do go. Earlier this week, I did a very quick video on what I'd like your help. And that is, I'd love to know if you're actually in the market for an electric vehicle. Are you maybe a Tesla Model 3 reservation holder, or just actually hang out for a Model 3? It doesn't matter if you're a reservation holder or not. I've created a quick little survey that will only take you 2 minutes, so I've left the link down below as well. We've already had 44 responses, so we're getting some good data here. And if you keep it going, so share the survey with your friends. I'd like to try to understand what's going to be happening in Australia in the next few weeks, because it's going to be extremely exciting. And well, the reactions on Twitter today for the UK unveiling was both a mixture of congrats, well done, so excited for you, whoop, whoop, versus other people like, this is extremely disappointing, it's too expensive, this is not an affordable EV, we've only got 3 choices, I'm disappointed. You get the idea. So if you could do that, it'd be really good. Or the other thing you can do to help support the channel, consider subscribing, or smash that thumbs button, the thumbs up button. Give it a good smash for me. And if you do nothing, be good and be kind to the environment.